Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Christina McNeil, and this is NB12 for Tuesday, October 16th, 2012, broadcasting from the Cable 12 studios on Robinson Road. In news tonight, in the wake of victory in North Abaco, the Prime Minister has a message for his critics.
To those who are naysayers, who scandalize my name, who say bad things, I say to them,
The leader of the Free National Movement says there will be just one leader moving forward. Government gears up for the next expected day at the polls, the upcoming referendum. Meanwhile, the Parliamentary Commissioner prepares to retire from his post, and the new international arrivals terminal at Lynden Pinling International Airport officially opens. We have those stories and much more coming up tonight. Your NB12 starts right now. Thanks for joining us. The Progressive Liberal Party is still in a celebratory mood after last night's victory in North Abaco, but shortly after the results were made known, the former Prime Minister cast aspirations on what he believes were the governing party's methods. And the Prime Minister hit right back and also talked about where the PLP plans to take the country. Juan McCartney reports.
Here in North Abaco Monday night, the PLP claimed victory even as the Free National Movement seems to struggle to figure out its next move, and the Prime Minister promises to govern in the interests of all. At his Murphytown headquarters last night, Renato Curry acknowledged he had one of the best days of his life when he crushed F&M candidate Greg Gomez in the North Abaco polls, trumping him by more than 850 votes. Shortly after victory was declared, Curry, who unsuccessfully ran in the May 7th general election against former Prime Minister Hubert Minnis, said he believes that Ingram's departure from frontline politics had a lot to do with his win.
Well, I always knew that, I ran against the former Prime Minister. So a lot of the popularity he had was because he was a Prime Minister at the time. I always knew that traction, I didn't feel personally that it could be transcend to another candidate, because our message was very strong. So that as a result of that, the message, the vision, you see the numbers climb. They accepted what we were saying.
However, when we spoke to Ingram in Cooperstown last night, the former PM said he believes vote buying, bullying, and intimidation were the tools the PLP used to secure its victory. However, Ingram said the F&M can win North Abaco and the next general election, despite its 0-3 election record since 2010.
We wouldn't have the might and power of the government of the Bahamas. We wouldn't have the money of the number of people. We wouldn't have the Prime Minister coming to Abaco, here right across the street there, with hundreds of thousands of dollars in $100 bills and $50 bills on the back seat of the car next to him. We won't have Brave Davis, the Deputy Prime Minister. We won't have Bradley Roberts and all the rest of them. With all the money's piling in here, we won't have the threats given to all civil servants down here. We won't have all of that next time. They will be all over the Bahamas trying to win the government. We'll be here in Abaco. And we will once again do what we did in 1992 and 2007. We'll return to office.
Meantime, Prime Minister Perry Christie, who celebrated with Curry last night, labeled Ingram's claims of dirty election tactics nonsense and the same old F&M excuses.
I understand they even talk about me buying votes. Tell them to find one Abaconian who got $1 from me. Tell them produce that kind of person. It's so nonsensical. And I'll tell you why. He had just won a by-election. The general election is going to be in 4.5 years' time. We want to win the general election when he runs again. The only way we could do that is not to discriminate against people, not to victimize, but to be pleasing to the people. When you win by 1,000, you actually triple the majority, nearly triple the majority Hubert Minnis had. So you are now 3 times stronger than Hubert Minnis in the constituency at this stage. And that is one hell of a statement this young man has made in running.
Christie said he now plans to let Curry know what role he wants him to play in government after he's sworn in the coming days. He also said he expects Curry's ultimate impact on North Abaco to rival Ingram's. Speaking of Ingram and the PLP's domination at the polls in the general election and this latest contest, Christie said the former Prime Minister has aided in the governing party's comeback.
I attribute it to the fact that People had the opportunity to see an Ingram government that's overspent on road building by $100 million. And when you look at $100 million, what that could have done around the nation, no real person was to say this man is deserving to be re-elected. That is just an abomination. People saw the PLP's Charter for Governance. People heard us on the platform, and people said we are going to give them a chance.
Though the cabinet has been heavily involved in the North Abaco contest, Christie said the affairs of the country haven't been neglected, and the optimism about the country, which he's spoken of in the past few weeks, will begin to be realized with a big announcement in Grand Bahama tomorrow.
No, it's going to be about job creation. It's going to be about strengthening the hotel industry. It's going to be about recognizing that the government has been spending $29 million in direct support for the tourism industry, and it has been wasted money to a great extent, and that we're going to try to rearrange that money. It's all about things like that. But at the end of the day, it's about demonstrating to the people of Grand Bahama why they have confidence in the PLP, and secondly, are being able to show that whilst we're doing all of this, we're still governing our country. Now, so I will no longer say I'm optimistic about Bimini, because Bimini is a reality. I will no longer say I'm optimistic about Grand Bahama, because Grand Bahama will be a reality and continuing work in progress. I'm now going to turn to Can Island and San Salvador and Elufra and other developments that are about to happen and where we're talking about.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Juan McCartney.
Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis also attributes the party's loss to victimization and vote buying by PLP operatives. However, his comments about his predecessor received far more attention. The F&M leader took jabs at the former Prime Minister last night, declaring that the Ingram era is over. Vonique Toot reports.
Long live the king! Long live the king! Long live the king!
Minutes after the party's disappointing defeat in Monday's North Abaco by-election, Free National Movement supporters gathered around former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram, chanting, "Long live the king." The retired North Abaco Member of Parliament is the only person to lead the F&M to a general election victory. Under Mr. Ingram's leadership, the party won the 1992, 1997, and 2007 general elections. However, the party's new leader made it clear last night the opposition will have only one leader going forward. Standing near Ingram Park in Cooperstown, Abaco, Dr. Hubert Minnis told reporters the Ingram era is over.
I will congratulate the former Prime Minister. He's taken this country to a high level. He's done an excellent job with this country. He had a vision for this country. Unfortunately, the country rejected him. He's now going into retirement, and I wish him the best in his retirement. That Ingram era is now over, and therefore the F&M will move on.
Even after Minnis was elected leader of the F&M during the party's convention on May 26, some political observers speculated that Ingram was still calling the shots behind the scenes, a claim Dr. Minnis denied. Others questioned whether the Killarney MP would be an effective leader. Additionally, speakers at the PLP's North Abaco rally Saturday night focused more on the Free National Movement's former leader than the current one. Going forward, Minnis says the opposition plans to recruit a new generation of leaders.
What the F&M will do under my leadership, I intend to expand the leadership base to invite a cadre of young individuals, 60, 70, 80 individuals. We ask all to come and join the party so we can move this country to a democratic process. From this group of young individuals, leaders will emerge. So that rather than having one, we'll have a cadre of leaders who can take the country to another level.
Asked whether yesterday's loss poses any threat to his position as leader, Dr. Minnis said not at all. We also asked him if he felt the opposition was defeated because voters did not support its candidate, Greg Gomez, who has been the subject of intense media scrutiny in recent weeks.
No, I did not. I think this whole election was not about candidacy. This election was about democracy. This election was about our future. The low voter turnout played an important role. They showed you that the people were intimidated and threatened. Irregardless to the candidate, it would not have made a difference. Unfortunately, usually in election, money plays an important role. In this particular election, both money and intimidation and threats played an important role. That's a bad, sad day for the Bahamas.
Now that the by-election is behind us, the F&M leader is also calling on the government to uplift all Abaco residents, not just PLP supporters. However, Prime Minister Perry Christie rejected claims of victimization last night, saying the F&M leader ought to just accept defeat. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonique Jude.
Now that the North Abaco by-election is over, preparations will begin in earnest for the upcoming gambling referendum. Prime Minister Christie has said on numerous occasions that the Bahamian electorate will get to vote for or against the legalization of numbers houses and the establishment of a national lottery before Christmas. He told reporters last night that's a promise he intends to keep.
I think so. I mean, I'm expecting a final memorandum from the United Kingdom. From our advisors, which will enable me to speak to the Bahamian public specifically on the question that will be asked, on the date that the question will be asked, on the ability of the electoral, the parliamentary commissioner to be ready for it.
The government is considering whether to still include the question of a national lottery in the referendum based on concerns expressed by UK consultants about the feasibility of a lottery. However, Christie says that decision won't be made until consultants present another report to government.
I expect that in a short period of time, with all of the details of that report, which will concern them, and I think is going to be sufficiently meaningful to our country as to what in fact is going on now that we are unaware of, and why it is so important to make the decision either to promote it or to stop it.
And on the heels of the North Abaco by-election, a man who has played a pivotal role in all elections over the past 17 years is preparing to bid that post farewell. NB12 caught up with Parliamentary Commissioner Errol Bethel today, who gave an analysis of his department's performance before, during, and after yesterday's by-election.
I think we did an excellent job for this election and the previous one in terms of ascertaining where people lived and whether or not people were entitled based on their citizenship and their residency. I think we did an excellent job in putting together a very good register. And once we would have done that, I think the rest of it was much easier. I wouldn't say any challenges, because basically we know what to expect in elections. We know what to do to prepare for elections. And so we were able to just go about doing what was necessary to make sure that we were ready whenever the election came.
Earlier this year, Bethel revealed that he would be leaving the post of Parliamentary Commissioner before the end of 2012. Today, as he looked back over his career as Parliamentary Commissioner since 1995, he admitted that yesterday's by-election was his last.
It was my last, and I have worked a lot of elections. If you talk about during the period when I was the Commissioner, you're actually talking about 4 general elections. You're talking about 4, that's parliamentary elections. 6 general elections in terms of local government elections, 1 national referendum, and then a number of school board elections from 1996. So it has been quite a long run for me. We have come a long way. When I first came here, you know what the register was? A huge ledger where you had to write the names in by hand. We started looking at computerization in '87. We perfected that in '92. And then after that, we were able to do all sorts of things. You know, like if there is duplicate registration, we're able to detect duplicate registration, and that sort of thing, so that we can make sure that a person's name appears on the register one time only.
Bethel says the modernization of the Parliamentary Registration Department has allowed for better analysis and scrutiny of the register, something that has also improved the integrity of the register. When asked what the next step is after retiring from the post of Parliamentary Commissioner, here's what Bethel had to say.
I really don't know what's next. I really don't know what's next.
An appreciation luncheon will be held in Bethel's honor later this month.